Hello everyone, welcome back to Just Another F1 podcast here on Apex Motorsport. My name's Richard Smith and we just had the United States Grand Prix, a race which we didn't have in 2020, so it's great to see it back on the Formula 1 calendar for this season. And while it wasn't the best race in terms of on-track action, the strategic battle was one to watch, and we're going to discuss that today. Joining me for that is of course Ryan Caldwell and Craig Evans. Ryan, I'm going to come to you first and I want your 3-word race review.
Well, that's fantastic.
Well, if that's your three-word race review, well then it probably sums it up. Especially the last few laps. When you say that, do you mean more from the strategic side of things, or did you think the on track action was very good?
Just how well, the Red Bulls managed to actually outplay Mercedes in strategy for once. Played them at their own game, pitting early and stuff. Ta-da!
And Craig, over to you for your 3-word race review.
I'd go great but stale.
Okay, so 2 very contrasting 3-word race reviews. I'm trying to think of one I could do myself. Probably.
You've put yourself on the spot here.
I have. Yeah. I'm thinking strategy over quality.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Definitely agree with that.
It was definitely better than some races we've had this season, that's for sure. But yeah, we're going to talk about this now. The first point we're going to talk about is the point that we've all sort of made there about it being a strategic race. Red Bull winning the strategic battle against Mercedes. Ryan, what was there any particular point of the race you thought, yeah, Red Bull have nailed their strategy, they're going to go on to win? Because it come down to just under second, come the checker flag.
I think it was after the first pit stop when they first closed the gap, and then Lewis eventually came in. Whenever we seen how close they were at that point, they were like, okay, we know it's a 2-stop race and we know we can gain this advantage back. If we manage to gain that little bit more and hold them out, which eventually did happen, Mercedes got it wrong. They went for their plan plus, I think it was 6 or plus 8, and I think they might have went just a wee touch too long, letting Max close that gap too much, and it paid off well for Red Bull. They did it twice. They did it once to try and make him pit a wee bit earlier. They must have known they could run longer on the hard tyre, which is why they did that. It was actually quite smart on Red Bull's end for once, taking the reins against Mercedes, which is what they normally do to Red Bull.
Craig, what do you think? Oh, yeah, John cut on that point there.
I was just going to say, it was a great strategy, but do you not think Mick Schumacher saved Max's ass? Because had he not had that DRS down the start-finish straight on the final lap, Hamilton would have been on him for that final sector, because I think that DRS that he got that Hamilton didn't in that start-finish straight gave Max that little bit of breathing room going into the first sector.
In that same point, Mick did sort of hold up Verstappen at the same time, not letting him pass as easily as he could have.
He did, but the DRS down the straight would have made a difference.
Yeah. It would have left him sort of almost equal with himself again.
Yeah, that's... Well, I don't know. I mean, this is a whole different kettle of fish, and it's something we'll probably touch on later on. But do you think you should get DRS off a lapped car if you're in a race-leading battle?
It's a tough one, that. Because the rule states if you're within a second of the car in front... But then, is technically a car you're lapping in front of you in the race? Because
no, it's not.
Yeah. So, I don't like the idea of being able to get DRS of back markers, but there's been probably so many times. If we say that was a Pierre Gasly or an Esteban Ocon, someone who doesn't get many race wins, and they were defending against Lewis Hamilton or Max Verstappen for a race win, do you think we would be having the same conversation, or do you think it's because of the way this championship battle is that because it's Verstappen that was being blocked? And
I don't think so. I think it's something that that we should talk about because obviously, I mean, I'm all for a cracking championship battle. Yes, I'd like to see Lewis win it. I'll happily admit that. But I don't know. It's just one of those things, really. I think it's an interesting topic to talk about because it can go either way. And we've seen obviously lapped cars interfere with DRS. Not interfere. Interfere's the wrong word, but get involved with DRS. We've got sidetracked again. We can talk about this a little later on.
We'll keep discussing this point when we're on it. Do you think that possibly with the way you can get DRS from back markers, it might cause the drivers to be thinking more tactically that obviously the drivers in front, they have to go through 3 blue flags maximum, but do you think drivers might back off a bit so the car in front isn't getting these blue flags and get them to the point where they can get the DRS to gain an advantage?
It wouldn't surprise me if that's already been mentioned. And I'd love to hear I wonder if Red Bull told Max to stay behind Schumacher up to that point. It's an interesting thing. I mean, they may have done. I don't know. We just don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's where we don't have all of the radio footage to analyse, and it's something definitely look into, and it's something now that it's been raised, and it's something we'll be keeping an eye out for the next few races. It's like many things in Formula 1, it needs to happen. It's probably something that's happened over and over again, but because this time it may have decided the championship, it could possibly do. It's why it's raised so many eyebrows. But obviously Red Bull went on to win the race with Max Verstappen, and it stopped the Mercedes momentum that they've had in the past few races at what seems to be a crucial time. Ryan, do you think this is what Red Bull needed to stop the Mercedes momentum, especially going into what's only the last few races of the season?
Yeah, they've definitely, in terms of Mercedes being the bear and Red Bull being the stick, they have definitely poked the bear with the stick and quite nearly knocked them out. I don't think they were expecting such a strong show from the Red Bull this weekend, especially after the first 2 practices and even coming up to qualifying. Mercedes seemed to be on top, but then all of a sudden Red Bull just out of nowhere, bang, 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 just topping the timing sheets. And
Red Bull were nowhere on Friday. They were 9/10 off.
Yeah, they were. That's what I mean. Like, it was just out of nowhere. They just all of a sudden, we have power, haha, surprise, and just completely wiped the floor. Then even Perez was actually doing really well, which usually doesn't happen, but it did. It just doesn't make sense. I think they're trying to play Mercedes off to be the clowns, and this is going to be another F1 circus. Ta-da!
And Craig, how much do you think of an impact Adrian Newey had coming back into the paddock? Because obviously he's been away for some time after an injury he sustained at some point over last year. He's come back, and Red Bull all of a sudden looked far superior than what they have done the past few races.
Oh, it's definitely going to make a difference. I think I read an article the other day that said Newey came back not long after Turkey and instantly found issues with the setup. Like, the man is a wizard. He sees air. I don't know how he does it. He is the last airbender. Like, he's just a wizard when it comes to aerodynamics. And obviously, from what we were saying earlier, I mean, take nothing away from Max. He drove a fantastic race. That is a champion's drive right there. And I think Red Bull managed to pull the whole package together so well this weekend. And I think Merca... Well, as what I said to you after the race, Richard, I think it's Max's and Red Bull's championship to lose now. They have the upper hand.
Would you agree with what people have been saying online, that it is one of Verstappen's, if not the best Verstappen win he's had in his career?
I don't think so. I think it's up there. It was a great drive, but to me, the best Max win will be his first one.
Yeah.
Like back in 2016. That to me is his strongest drive. But he's had... I mean, it was a champion's drive that week on Sunday. The way he managed the pace, kept the life in the tyres, I think Merca worried, and it's like I said, we're going to Mexico, not next week, week after, which is usually a Red Bull stronghold. So I don't know. Has Max? In my opinion, Max has already got a finger on the trophy.
Do you agree with that, Brian? Do you think it's Verstappen and Red Bull's title to lose?
Yeah, they have the upper hand so far. As much as I can see, they have it quite well prepared. I'd say for not next weekend, but the weekend after, as you were saying. We go to Mexico. It's been, well known that it's a Mercedes track. It's going to be Perez home race in not a Mercedes, Red Bull. I'm getting confused now. We're talking too much about them. Perez is probably going to have a slight half decent show. We know he never really usually does at his own home race, but I could say we could see something special. So we could see some extra constructors points for Red Bull. Obviously, Red Bull's still quite lacking behind in terms of constructors points, but the drivers' championship, Max has everything to lose. If they get an engine problem and have to retire from a race, they're just handing back the battle to Mercedes so easily. It could go really downhill really fast if they have their typical Red Bull problems, which I'm hoping they don't. I'd like to see this go the whole way down to Yas Marina. It's going to be interesting.
The interesting dilemma for me is if you have coming in Mexico, you have Perez leading, Verstappen second, Hamilton third. Do they ask Perez to give the win to Max? And more to the point, if you're Perez, do you then do it?
I don't think they would. I think they would.
I agree.
Let it hold. Max is already ahead, so even though he'll still be gaining his lead, it's not like he's gonna take a big massive points deficit to Lewis. I think they'd let him have it.
Well, I've got a funny feeling this title is going to be decided by the unknowns in Qatar and Saudi Arabia. Yeah. Those two races, it's who adapts to the new track and the unknown conditions better than the other, and I think that is what will decide the title.
When we're talking about points and drivers pitting and cannon over wins, a scenario I was seeing on Twitter from Tom Bellingham, and I'll ask both of you your thoughts on this and what do you think they'll do. Max is if come Abu Dhabi, Max is 1 point shy of the title and Lewis Hamilton has the fastest lap. Red Bull can pit Checo for the fastest lap point to win Max the title, but he'll drop down the order and lose points, which will cost Red Bull the Constructors' Championship. So would you pit in order to win Max the Drivers' Championship, or don't pit to allow Red Bull to be Constructors' Champions? Ryan, you go first for this one.
I think they'd have Max take the Drivers' title. I don't think they want to try and keep Lewis, on his toes for a wee bit longer. I think they would be able to risk it, but at the same time, they've still the pressures coming in from Honda to win them that title. But I still think they would feel pride enough in having a drivers' world championship and Max Verstappen powered by a Honda. I think Honda would take it either way, so I think Red Bull would take it either way. Depending on the circumstances, obviously.
And Craig?
I think that Red Bull have made it very clear where Perez sits and the team championship sits. I think they would do anything to win this title. Yeah. And I think they will do anything to win this title.
Now, one thing that I have seen that I thought was quite interesting is, do you think if the scenario come down that Red Bull, if they thought they have a chance of winning both championships, of pitting one of the AlphaTauris, making that call in order for them to get the fastest lap, do you think you could see something like that happening?
No, because I don't think this AlphaTauris have the pace. I genuinely don't think they'll be able to take the fastest lap.
Even in the final lap, soft tyre run?
No. Yeah. Okay. I don't think they would.
They could.
The margin that these two are running at is so higher than everyone else. I genuinely don't think they could do it.
Given that you see Lewis posting fastest laps and final laps of the race sometimes, I think I agree with you in that. They would need to nail the lap and hope that they wouldn't be coming out and having to be lapped by cars, and it would be a big risk if Red Bull, well, it wouldn't be a risk for Red Bull because it wouldn't be directly impacting them, but yeah, I couldn't see that happening. But I think Red Bull, they know that if they win the drivers' championship, yes, and then don't win the constructors, obviously they won't be making as much money from the constructors. That's where the money gets paid out. But the publicity to say that you have a Formula One world champion driving for your team will probably do them better in the long run than they've just won another constructors championship.
I don't think Red Bull are short of money.
No, that's for sure.
In any situation, I think they will do anything to win this title for Max, like anything.
The point I also seen made was obviously the handling that happened in DTM. I forget the driver's name now.
Kevin
yes.
Lawson and Van der Linde, wasn't it?
Yeah. Van der Linde, he was a Mercedes driver, am I correct?
Yeah. No, Audi.
Audi, okay. Because I seen something earlier was after what happened in the DTM, Red Bull would be looking revenge on Mercedes, possibly.
Nah, there's no connection. There's no connection between the two, I don't think.
I mean, it's F1. It is a little bit far-fetched, but Red Bull, they do like to try to find excuses over pretty much anything these days anyway. We'll go back to actual Formula 1 racing, and probably the final point we'll make on Red Bull, because this has turned into the Red Bull podcast at this point. Ryan, as you said, it is Sergio Perez's home Grand Prix next in Mexico, and it's just coming to the point where he looks like he's back at his best. He's had a couple of strong performances, and he's looking strong. Obviously, that will help Red Bull for the Constructors' Championship at the end of the season. But Ryan, do you think if we take out the team order part of where you might have to hand the win to Max, do you think that with the crowd and going back to Mexico in a race winning car, he will be right up there fighting for the win?
I do think he's more than capable of achieving a win, especially at his home Grand Prix. He's proved it once already with Red Bull, and we've seen it as well, getting his eventual win, his first ever last year. He has the talent to do it, and this year he has the car to do it, and especially with him feeling a lot more comfortable now coming towards the end of the season. I wish it had happened a wee bit sooner, to definitely help the Constructors' Championship close up a wee bit more, just to make everything more tense. But I think it is very possible that he could get his first home Grand Prix win. It depends, obviously, how Max is sitting, compared to Lewis. Obviously, they're not just going to throw away a win for the sake of Perez to just, take that top spot over Max. If it was the other way around, it's difficult to predict it that way. But I do think if he is out front by at least a good 10 seconds, which is very unlikely, but in the inevitable chance that does happen, they'll just let him have it. It's fair play.
And do you agree with that, Craig?
What, that Perez has a good chance?
Yeah, in his home race.
I think he does, but I think the one pain in Red Bull's side is going to be that new suspension Mercedes have unveiled.
Mm-hmm.
Because you think Mexico is pretty much 1, 2, 3 long straights and a couple of corners. That new suspension will be massive for them there. The only thing I can see going wrong for Mercedes in 2 weeks is reliability.
Yeah.
Because of the increased altitude and the lower amount of oxygen.
And as the Mercedes engine reliability, we've seen a lot of issues with that, with mainly Bottas, but with Russell Vettel.
You have an engine penalty. You have an engine penalty. You have an engine penalty. Engine penalty for Bottas.
Well, they always said that Bottas was the Iceman, as in internal combustion engine. I'll show myself out.
Yes, that was an awful joke. We have seen a lot of Mercedes cars take engine penalties, and Craig, do you think going into next season that could be a worry, or do you think Mercedes are now using their customer teams as a little bit of an experiment and using Bottas as an experiment to see what works?
I genuinely think that Mercedes are running their engine at max capacity now. They're running Bottas's on the limit to work out what they can do with Lewis's. Because who was the mechanic that left to go to Honda?
Andy Kyle.
Andy Cowell. Because since he's left, they've been struggling on the reliability side a little bit, haven't they?
Yes, they have.
So I genuinely think Merc are at the limit of that car, whether that be engine and aerodynamics. I genuinely think they are pushing it to breaking point, and that's why we're seeing Bottas pick up so many penalties.
Yeah. Well, before the race started, there was probably the most high-profile moments of the entire weekend, where the legend that is Martin Brundle somehow had the confidence to tell a bodyguard of I don't even know who it is, Megan Thee Stallion, is it? To be honest,
Yeah,
I don't
something
really know
like
much.
that.
Don't really know much about her, but he created one of the best lines. It was, I can't remember word for word. I have.
You
I think
can't
the
do
bodyguard
that.
went.
Yes.
Get it because I've already done it.
Yeah, that was it.
Say it again, Ryan.
I've forgotten it already.
He said, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't talk to her." And he went, "Well, I already have because I've already done it."
Yes. That. What's your thoughts on this all the celebrities? I know it's caused quite a lot of controversy on Twitter, especially. Everything does anyway, but do you think that in order for celebrities to be on the grid, as much as it is to help promote the sport to a new audience that maybe aren't fans of F1, that they should be expected to do an interview? Because, not being funny, if someone that's just casually watching Formula 1 sees their favourite singer or their favourite actor or actress doing an interview, that's going to pique their interest. Do you think they should have to, or at least be available to do an interview in the grid?
Yeah, I think if you're on the grid, you should be available for an interview. Like I'm not going to go down the route of we shouldn't allow these celebs onto the grid or we shouldn't allow them to be involved, because at the end of the day, F1 is a business and it needs to market itself. And to point out as well, it wasn't. I think it's Megan Thee Stallion.
I think it's but it's spelled free without the R.
Okay. It wasn't her that snubbed Brundle because she actually wanted to do an interview. It was her bodyguards and Draco Malfoy lookalike that snubbed him and were damn right rude.
Yeah.
And I think if you're a guest of a team and you're on the grid, and let's not forget, was it Ben Stiller was there?
Yes.
Yeah,
with his son, and he was an absolute delight to see.
Yeah.
He was there with his son. Yeah, he did. He did everything. He was there with his son, just having a great weekend, and he did interviews, and it was lovely. So, I think if you're on the grid, you should be expected to be asked questions, because the grid is a professional working environment. So I think, yes, the question. Well, I just think, and not only that, I think if you are on the grid, you need to respect the people that work there, and those two bodyguards and whoever the other guy was, they were just damn right rude and disrespectful, and you don't do that to someone of Martin Brundle's ilk, because it's just rude.
Yeah.
Well, don't you worry, because there was a great Northern Irish man there, Rory McIlroy, and what was the first thing he said to him? Not even Formula 1 related. Well, that was a disappointing result as a Manchester United fan. Oh, I was hurt bringing it into that. Oh, awful.
And Ryan, just for the record, what was the score?
I don't want to disclose that very private information. That is
are you a Man U fan?
No.
Okay, I think that's the cue for the next topic.
Yes. Drive to Survive. Yes. There was 400,000 fans at the US Grand Prix. That was a massive I was going to say increase on what they normally have, and they've put a lot of it down to the appeal of Drive to Survive. Drive to Survive itself, controversial within Formula 1 for being too dramatised and making up stories, but the appeal of the series, it's done its job. It's opened the sport up to a new audience. Craig, do you think this was sort of the first time we've seen the success of the series being shown at an actual Grand Prix?
Yeah, I think it is, and not being funny, it looked mental. It looked absolutely mental to be there. It was packed crowds, everyone was there. It was a sellout. And I just thought it looked fantastic.
Imran, do you think it proved to be a success?
I think it definitely was. Obviously, it was the most packed. How should I say it? I wouldn't say a stadium because it holds like nearly 5 times the capacity of a stadium. But that was just insane. It was like 400 and something thousand people. Like that is a lot of people at an F1 circuit. Even Silverstone, I don't think's ever peaked that, have they?
Silverstone's 365.
Yeah,
and that's bigger again. And I think I seen a stat. It was like only 370,000. In previous years. So that has gone up quite significantly. That amount of people, that bit extra. Netflix is massive in the US, and obviously this has a massive appeal to not only people who have a slight interest in cars, but then you've also got other people who just happen to be bored and want to see what all the hype is around it, so then they watch it anyway. Like I see, obviously, and I'm going to Facebook here, and Facebook's where all the the people who comment under these sort of how do I put it commercial profiles, they're sort of in their around 50s to 70s, the moms and stuff like that, and they were all intrigued and like fascinated. I think what really dragged people in was the story of Romain Grosjean last year.
Yep.
And how that was like the main focal point of the thing, and everyone wanted to see it.
Where he was on fire for about 3.5 hours, the way Netflix put it across.
And it was on Gogglebox.
Yes.
And do you not think the success of, especially an American audience, is mainly due to Grosjean having that crash and then being such a success in the IndyCar?
Yes, definitely. Because everyone wanted to see the story.
There is definitely a correlation there.
Yeah.
Between the two. And just another thing, have you seen the Miami ticket prices have just been leaked for next year?
No.
How much? How much do you think for a start-finish 3-day ticket?
Ooh.
Start-finish 3-day
Have a guess. Start-finish line 3-day ticket.
3-day, okay.
Well, we'll play higher or lower. It's a little late in the podcast, but we'll play higher or lower.
Okay. Then Ryan, you give a figure, and I'll say
go on, Ryan. You go for what you think.
You see, I've never actually tried to book tickets. So how much was Silverstone for yourself?
Well, general admission plus inner track, you're chatting around £200 towards £300.
So I'm gonna guess for 3 days £1,299.
Okay, I'm gonna go higher. I'm gonna go for £2,222 and $1,222.22.
Well, there's the prices for a Miami GP 3-day ticket package, $2,070.
Oh, that's
turn one is $1,700, and that is the Netflix effect.
Yep.
Because there's money there.
Looks like I'm not going to Miami.
No, well, we'll rule that one out for this season or for next season.
To be fair though, the beach straight is only $880, so I think we'll have 4 of those.
Yes, and any of our listeners want to come along with us, we'll try to fit in the budget somewhere, which we don't have.
What budget?
Yeah, what budget? Yeah, my bank account. Yeah, that's crazy prices. I honestly didn't think it would be that high. It's making Silverstone now one of the cheaper races this rate, and their prices have gone sky high as well.
I just think we're getting to that point, especially in the Americas, where F1 has a future. Yeah. And if you'd have told me that after the 2005 debacle, my God, that killed F1 in the States.
Yeah.
But now it's back and it's got a bit of force behind it.
And do you think that, slightly off topic, but just a very quick response, the success of some of the younger drivers in IndyCar, the Colton Hertas, the Alex Palous, do you think that, given they're being linked to F1 seats, do you think that's people are seeing IndyCar and then they're saying, actually, these are being linked to Formula One, which is this massive brand, and they're having 2 races in America, and they've got all these drivers who are because of Drive to Survive, people know them more, and that's making F1 a much bigger sport and almost putting it almost like IndyCar, like a F2 equivalent.
What, IndyCar?
Not in so much of the development, but the way it's seen in sort of where it's positioned in the world ladder of motorsport.
Well, I think IndyCar is definitely on the app. It's 100% on the app. Because this is the first season I've watched, I'd say 80% of the races.
Yeah.
And I don't get why the interest is there. Grosjean, yeah, that's good. Obviously, next year we've got Lundgaard, we've got Ilott again, we've got a few familiar faces going into it. But I think IndyCar's on the up, and I think it's definitely being seen as an alternative to F1.
Yeah.
As Pato O'Ward said, the dream is still F1. That is the big one.
Mm-hmm.
But I think IndyCar's getting there. It's on the up, and I don't think it's going to be long until we see IndyCar and F1 on the same track on the same weekend. I think they're going to try and make that happen. Because that will be mega. Yeah,
I think one thing that we'll see maybe Sky try next year, because obviously the Monaco Grand Prix is the same weekend as Indy 500. Do you think that Sky may have some sort of, a bit like the Danica Patrick on for the US Grand Prix, sort of a full sort of day racing where they sort of combine the 2 events into one long full day of racing? In terms of their online coverage or their TV coverage?
Maybe. Yeah, I definitely think the audience is there.
Yeah. Because I always love watching Monaco, then watching the Indy 500 in the evening. It's a great day. It's just a shame they're on the one day if you're a fan that you want to go to watch Indy 500, because you'd probably be missing Monaco Grand Prix, one of the historic races.
Not that it's very exciting anyway.
No, but I could definitely see, you said, Craig, them joining forces to some stage, and if that did happen, when you think of the IndyCar fans, not all of them would be Formula One fans. So you could be chatting near, if they can get more grandstands up, if it was Dakota or wherever, you could be chatting nearly 600,000 fans. Mm-hmm. Or would that be a push?
And not only that, you're then going to have fans that are only there for the IndyCar, watch the F1 and think, this is quite good. And you're going to get fans that are only there for the F1 and watch the IndyCar and go, this is quite good. I don't know, I think it'd be a great idea.
Yeah, right. We'll move on to some predictions now for the Mexican Grand Prix, which is in 2 weeks' time. And this is where I get confused, because I have to ask both of you, and you both we'll both give different answers because you're in the one team, and you have a double chance of scoring points. You can if you would like.
Should you do that, Ryan?
That's totally up to you, because I'm quite clueless when it comes to race predictions.
What this means, Craig,
so am I, to be fair.
Yeah. Craig, you will be probably picking all the answers, and Brian will be following along with you. That's probably what's going to happen.
I'll just go, yeah, that sounds good. Yep, I'll have one of those, please.
Can I just say, it kind of shows you how interesting the race actually was, because we've hardly spoken about it.
Yeah.
I think Vettel won the most on-track overtakes with 6.
Yeah, he's going for that cryptocurrency award or whatever it's called.
Man's going to get 5 Bitcoin.
Yeah. Right. Pole position, I'm going to go for Verstappen.
You see, I was going to go for Perez. Because he usually runs quite well on quali in Mexico. But saying that, he'll probably be out in the first session, knowing our luck. So,
Ryan, are you agreeing with Perez, or do you think if you both disagree, we can put down 2?
Hold on, what's this for again?
Pole position.
pole position. I get a funny feeling that it might be Max, just based off of the fact that I am doing a little bit of flicking between 2018 and 2019. So 2019 he got pole position, 2018 he got second behind Daniel Ricciardo, who was also in a Red Bull. I think Max might take it. I don't know. I would like to see Sergio take it, but I got a feeling Max might take it again.
We'll put down both of your predictions and we can see then. We can debate it out after Abu Dhabi, like many of the other predictions.
I think most of the I think the past 4 years, Hamilton's won 2, Max has won 2. So it's very, very level on form.
Yeah. Well then we'll go to race winner, and I'm gonna go Perez.
Interesting.
I would like to see that.
Very interesting.
Ryan, who are you saying for race winner?
See, now I've got Craig stuck in the back of my head, like, oh, but the Mercedes suspension is going to help them down the straights. Oh, will they be quick, or will the engines give up? What should you do? There's £1 million on the line here. I think the overall result, even after everything I've just said about Perez being in front, I think Max is still gonna take it. I don't know why.
Okay.
I just have a weird feeling.
And Craig, your prediction for race winner?
I'm gonna say Lewis.
That's what I was thinking.
That would definitely be interesting in terms of the championship. Given if we're working out based on what Red Bull tracks, what Mercedes tracks.
Do you think this is a must-win for Merc, this next race?
I don't think this one is, but I think which is Qatar or Saudi Arabia first? Whichever one of them's first, that's the must-win race.
Let's have a look.
Is it not Saudi? No.
I thought it was Qatar.
Yeah, I think it's Qatar.
I'm not sure.
Right.
If you bear with me.
Yeah, well, Craig's in that, Ryan. We'll do our podium.
Yeah, I'm gonna. After Brazil.
It is. Okay. Yeah. I think that Qatar race will be the must-win.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So podium, I put Perez on the podium. I'm going to say Lewis and Max are going to have a little bit of a scrap, and they're going to collide. Both of them bear the race. So I'm going to go for Lando Norris and Esteban Ocon on podium.
I mean, the McLarens are slippery in a straight line.
They got that speed, boy.
Ryan, your podium sitters?
Well, obviously, if I think Verstappen's going to win, we've got Verstappen up there. I think then it's going to be closely either followed behind by, I think, Lewis Hamilton. And this is going to be a very boring prediction because out of all the odds, as long as he doesn't take another engine penalty, I think this is going to be a Verham bot.
Okay, I haven't seen
I can see that coming.
And Craig, who's joining Hamilton on the second and first steps of the podium?
I think Perez and Max.
Okay. And fastest.
Complete polar opposites here.
Yes. You two are given a combination of drivers. I'm just going Perez to win and Norris and Ocon on the podium. And I'll continue that theme with fastest lap, Charles Leclerc. For no reason, always the first driver to come into my head.
I think it'll be whoever's not on the podium out of the big four.
So Bottas.
Bottas for me, yeah.
And Ryan.
Let's get up on RNG here really quickly. I will just tell you that depending on what number it is closest, so we'll go 1 to 100 because obviously we go up to that. We get number 34, and I don't know.
Top tier analysis. This.
Yes,
number 34. That'll be Max.
33, yeah.
Well, there you go. Max is going to take the fastest lap.
Okay. Ryan, do another randomizer there between 1 and 100.
Okay, and we get 61. Who's
which is 61? Russell 63. I'm going to say points.
Points.
Yeah. You know what, Ryan, spin another one there. Our wild card for this week will be based on this and one thing about each driver. So Ryan,
DJ, spin that. See, I censored it for you. Don't worry. Oh, Danny Rick number 3.
Okay, Ryan. What is Daniel Ricciardo's wild card?
His wild card is that he's gonna finish in the top 5.
Okay.
I was gonna say top 6, but that's boring. So top 6.
And spin again.
Oh, top. Okay. Number 44. Ah, lucky who?
Craig, Lewis, what crazy thing's gonna happen to Lewis?
He'll be nowhere in the race and then somehow come back and win it at the end.
Okay.
Puncture.
That's an interesting way to do the wildcard predictions.
Are you joking? One more for fun. I just clicked it out of randomness. 99. Oh.
The Italian Jesus.
Antonio.
Oh, of course, yeah, Antonio.
Italian Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Antonio to keep his seat for next year.
Okay.
That's crazy how that's worked 3 times and it's been a driver number. That's mad.
Yeah. So yeah, that is going to bring to an end this podcast. Any final thoughts on sort of the United States Grand Prix or going into Mexico? Either of yous?
I need to check something. Let me just double check this. Did he? Ooh.
His head risk came flying off in the first couple of corners. I think everyone knows who we're talking about at this point. Is beginning.
Damn! Yeah, he had an FP1 problem. Man, I was almost right.
Yeah. Well,
we'll get there. Look, he's getting less and less. Okay, maybe in Mexico we get a Mazda spin, no spin.
Okay.
Okay.
And Craig, how many spins do you reckon Mazepin is going to have?
I'm saying 2.
Okay, I'll go 1. I'll go in between.
You forgot to ask the most important question, Richard.
Which is?
Where do we think Pierre Gasly's going to finish?
Oh, very true, yes.
8th.
Okay. I'm writing all these down in one piece of paper, and come to the next podcast, I'll not have a clue what any of this means.
7th.
Okay, I'll go 6th. Why not?
We're covering all grounds.
Yes. So we'll probably score a grand total of 0 points, like we've done many times, despite the fact
usually.
despite the fact we got near enough every driver in the grid covered in some aspect. So yeah. But yeah, any final thoughts?
Just to hop in, I've just seen this on Motorsport Stats on Twitter. The 2012 GP and the 2021 GP in America had a Red Bull 1-3 on the grid with Hamilton in the middle, Spanish speaker in 3rd, Ferrari 4th, McLaren 5th, Finnish driver in 6th, Schumacher finishes 16th, Russian driver finishes 17th, French driver retire on lap 14 with suspension problems.
That is a very crazy stat, but a very impressive one at that. And I think that's a good way probably to end this podcast, because I need time to process all that information, because that seems quite unbelievable. So yeah, thank you to both Craig and Ryan for joining me for this podcast, and to everyone for listening. Thank you so much, and thanks for all the support that we've got so far and continue to have. We really do appreciate it. But we hope you join us all next time for the Mexican Grand Prix. Goodbye.